Hello everyone, welcome to another week of Out of the Box Gaming, a podcast where we talk about games. Why? Well, because we want to, and because we think that we have something to say that you may want to hear. I'm your host, Nick Picard, and joining me is the master of all dungeons, Will Kinsey.
Oh my.
Oh.
All dungeons, you say?
Yeah, all dungeons.
Goodness. Well, yeah, so we want to force our love of games on you and, maybe even introduce you to something new. And we also want to hear from you guys, so always feel free to drop any topic ideas, discussion questions, shoot, even games that you would like for us to play or check out. Yeah.
All right, so now we're at the time of the episode where we bring our producer, Lindsay, to start us off with a trivia question.
Hello. Okay. Today's trivia question is a step up from last week's. And it is related to our podcast topic today. So my question for today is, when was Dungeons and Dragons first developed? What year?
The exact year?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna have to take a guess on that one. Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, if you can maybe give me a decade, and then we can go from there. I might give a point depending on
whoever's
who's
the closest to the year.
Because I don't think you guys have gotten too many points lately.
No.
So.
Well, if you guys listening want to go ahead and think on that question, we'll come back to it at the end of the episode. And if you're watching live, go ahead and comment your answer. And remember, no cheating. So, Nick, What have you been playing this last week?
Well, I finally did it. I finally beat Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Woo!
Yeah.
About 40 hours into that game. But I finally did it. Oh, and I'm just gonna say, I know the game's been out for a while, so anybody listening, if you haven't played it already, I mean, I'm about to, say something at the very end. But there was the last boss fight, there's one move that the enemy does. I'm not gonna say names so I don't spoil everything. But he goes up into the air, and there's a big AoE on the ground that is glowing, and if a character is caught in it, it basically takes them down to 1 HP. Well, in my first go through against him, all 3 of my characters were caught in that. So then he killed one, or knocked him out, whatever you want to say. And then it was a struggle of just going between 2 of trying to get the health up and then rezzing. And I, throughout the rest of that fight, I just constantly only had 2 people. And then eventually he, knocked them all out. So then I had to go through it again. And then after that, I was like, okay, well, I know your little, shenanigans that you can do now. So I made sure I kept the range character far away as much as I could. And then whenever he did that move, that I was on the character that was far away, she was just out of it, and then I saw the other 2 just bolt out of the center, and I was like, okay, good job, AI, you know what to do. So, yeah, that the second go round was much easier. But yeah, finally did it. Finally beat that game. It was a great game. That game might be my game of the year. It was really good. Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I'm looking forward to the part 2 of it. Because according to one of my friends, he said that basically that game, it just only takes you through maybe a third of what the original game did. So we got probably at least 2 more of Final Fantasy VII remakes. So
hopefully at least 2 more.
Yeah, but other than that, I played a little bit more Ghost. Finally got through Act 1. Finally. I'm now in Act 2. One of my friends just beat it either, I don't think last night, but the other night. Yeah, he finally beat it. I still have a while to go. There's a lot to do. I was telling you before we started of how many like different main missions and side missions stuff that I have to do.
Yeah, but you've been pretty vigilant about side missions as well, right?
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to complete everything I can in the game.
Nick is 100%.
So of course it's gonna take you a little bit longer to
yeah.
complete it.
Yeah, well, so before I would go around and try to defog the map myself, and then I found out from the one friend that, beat the game already. He goes, "Oh, if you just go and liberate everything on that part of the island, it will defog the whole, that whole area." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Oh.
And then so I was like, I've been wasting my time trying to go around and defogging like every little bit of the map when it was just going to do it if I just liberated all these camps. So yeah, I've wasted a good amount of time. But yeah, other than that, it's just been, the same of, I think a little bit of Overwatch, not too much. Not as much as usual. Did a little Fortnite last night for challenges. Played some Hyperscape, and then, which I did get another 6 snipe.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
And I got a really good shot with a Riot one. But yeah, and then you and I got to try out Rogue Company.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you want to talk about that, you can.
Yeah, I mean, I've really been enjoying Rogue Company. It is 100%, in my opinion, what Valorant should have been. Which I know I've mentioned before that I was a little disappointed by Valorant, and the gameplay is a little slow, and I really don't like how you have to like stop moving, shoot, hope someone else doesn't shoot you. Like it's very clunky. Like the whole game's very clunky. Unless you're playing Jet, because then you can just move around as fast as you want and do anything. But in Rogue Company, you do like tactical roles and crazy stuff like that.
Hold on a sec. I'm getting like a bunch of stuff in the live stream. I'm just constantly hearing my my follow thing, which I appreciate everyone following. I'm not seeing it; it's not popping up, but I am hearing it. So
I thought you normally take the sound.
I know I did, but I don't know why it's coming through on this. But I do appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys. Thanks for the follows.
For the raid.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh, it's a raid.
Yeah, it's a raid. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I do it.
Wow.
Well, goodness. Awesome. So raid people, we're just talking about video games and stuff. And yeah, we just started playing Rogue Company. And yeah, that's been incredibly enjoyable. I like pretty much all the characters. They're very unique and they all have personality, which is super fun. But yeah, I'm excited to see where that game goes. It's been really good. The few hours I've played of it.
Yeah. I do it.
I mean, whenever I like, I had the struggle of when we first got into the game. Where my because I play with
your shop.
I play with a controller, so yeah, it like my key bindings were messed up and hold on, they're still coming. Okay. All right. Never mind.
Good.
If only Lindsay could hear this. Normally she could hear it, but she's been, getting in her own Discord and just like, thank you, everyone. Normally we don't do this in the podcast, and but yeah, thank you everyone that has tuned in and is just rating me right now. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
What
wonderful people.
doing?
I'm still hearing it. I wonder how many more. Oh goodness, there's going to be quite a bit, I think.
Is it a little delayed?
How
Yeah, it's delayed.
you doing?
Golly.
Yeah. So I mean, we can. I mean, you can ramble on about something else right now.
Will doesn't ramble. What are you
Okay.
talking about?
You
I will
ramble
mention,
sometimes.
I will mention one of our peeps in chat said that they heard Final Fantasy VII was gonna have about 5 parts.
About
to it.
5 parts?
you
Oh, that's wonderful.
We'd like to mention that was said.
Yeah, let me go back up. Who was it that said? Yeah, normally we don't go and look at the chat during this and talk, but during this little array, we'll talk to y'all.
It was up. It was merciless.
Okay,
Right
I still
there.
haven't finished it. God. 5 parts, Merciless. Is that true? That's going to have 5 parts. That's a lot.
I mean, gotta make that money.
Yeah, you got to make that money.
Gotta milk
I mean, it's probably the best Final Fantasy game that I've ever played, but I haven't really played Final Fantasy games, so
many.
okay.
I mean, if all 5 parts are great, you know, you just got to be grateful. Even if they're squeezing as much cash out of it as they can.
Oh,
If they're
yeah.
good games, they're good games.
Yeah. All right. All right. So I think it has stopped. Thanks everyone once again. We're gonna
Wonderful
get back to
people.
this. Okay, so we were talking about Rogue One and no, not Rogue
Rogue
One.
Company.
Rogue Company. Gosh, Rogue One is Star Wars.
Do we need to talk about Rogue One?
Great movie. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm on PlayStation. Whenever I got the code, it gave it to me for PlayStation. I don't know why it was only PlayStation. I guess I had something set up that I didn't realize, but it only gave me the PlayStation code. But so I was playing on controller, obviously. But it does have crossplay, so that was good. So Will and I were able to play. And when we got in, I was like,
it's pretty great.
I was like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know how to pull up like my shop. And then Will's like, oh, it's this key. I'm like, I'm on a controller, bro. And he's like, oh yeah. Well, I don't know. And I go to my key bindings. The only thing that my key bindings for some reason was set was the left analog stick. I could move. I couldn't even shoot. I couldn't aim. I couldn't do anything. So I had to go in. No. Yeah, I had to go in. I was glad that we just did a warm-up game against bots, which you didn't know about. That
I didn't. I thought I was just being godlike.
Yeah. But I was just glad because I was able to go in and just say like reset the default and then it reset everything. And then I had to go and change like 1 or 2 of my key bindings that made no sense to me. It wanted me, what was it that I said to...
what was your melee on the D-pad?
Yeah, my melee was on the D-pad. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So,
Yeah.
It was the button to switch camera views from like righty to lefty. I just switched that to the D-pad, and then my melee is my R1. So,
dude, that's such a good. They did so many good little details and big decisions for this game just coming out. Like the crossplay, full crossplay, awesome. Like Hyperscape didn't do that. Even though I love Hyperscape. Hyperscape didn't do that.
It will get it eventually, but right now it doesn't have it.
And then some games they'll do the left and right camera angle, but you don't really switch shoulders. This you straight up like go to a southpaw, like you become left-handed, which I love because I'm a left-handed shooter. So I just play the game in lefty mode, which feels super good to me. So I really like that. The attention to detail that they've put into this is way better than Valorant.
Yeah. And the games don't take as long.
Yeah, they're quick games.
Yeah, they're quicker rounds, and the matches are quicker. I think it's first to 7. Yeah.
And I tried all the different game modes. They're all pretty great. I enjoyed each one of them. So it's solid all the way around, man. Like 9 out of 10. Can't give it 10 out of 10 yet. I don't know why, but it's good.
Oh, I mean, hey, if you want to do a review for it, you can, and we'll put it up on our YouTube.
Maybe one day.
Okay.
But yeah. So, anyways, Lindsay, what have you been
Yeah.
playing this week?
Um, pretty much the same as Nick. We did some. Did we
You
do
did
any-
Final Fantasy?
Look,
You did Ghost of Tsushima?
look, stop. Did we do any Overwatch this week?
Barely. Well,
Yeah.
I did. I know I played some with some of our friends. I don't know if you
I don't
did.
know if I did. I did a little Fortnite. Did play Hyperscape last night for the first time. Let me tell you, I'm not good.
But it's fun.
But it's fun. It was growing on me. I was a bit hesitant the first few games, mostly because I died pretty soon.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're going to say this real quick. Last night, there was one match where we got in the top. I don't even know where the
Top
crown.
five. I was just
top
about to
five.
ask you about that.
The crown will show up in the top 5. And whenever it gets to that point, it's a different game.
It is game on.
And it is so much fun. You talk about, exhilarating, and you are just like, you feel that adrenaline. Oh, man. We didn't win. What place did we come in?
We got second.
We got
You guys-
second. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got second, but oh man, that was very, very fast, very fun. If you have not tried Hyperscape and you like battle royales, I highly suggest doing it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It is. It's a faster paced game than I'm used to, and so I sort of struggle because like when I find like weapons or hacks, I just sort of have to stand there and figure out what they are before I can move on. So I'm sort of getting adjusted to that, but I really enjoyed it, especially the games where I didn't die at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think that makes
I mean, I think what
more.
I like about it more than I would say like Fortnite
Apex.
or Apex
Oh.
or Call of Duty is their way of bringing back somebody.
The res
That is a lot better than
Oh yeah.
having to, like for Fortnite, go collect the card, then go to a reboot van, or in Apex, go to their version of the reboot van, or in Call of Duty, if you had to go through that,
Dang gulag.
that dang gulag, and if you don't win, then you're just, well, at that
have
point
to pay.
you're waiting for your teammates to get enough money and then go to a thing to pay to bring you back. Yeah, no, this is their way. I enjoy a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rewarding because it's anywhere that an enemy has died, you can be revived at. So if you're downed, your team can go and hunt down someone, kill them, and revive you off of their body.
Yeah, or if you
I
died
love
like
that system.
during a team fight, but your teammates were able to kill some other, you're already in that area. Plus, you sort of come back as like a ghost, and you can run around and sort of scout things out for your teammates.
Yeah,
So that's a cool aspect too.
And
Yeah,
Instead
your
of
pings
just
still show up,
watching
so that's
them.
good.
and the reviving of the person doesn't take as long as like the reboot van in Fortnite.
Yeah, and it's not
Yeah, it's only
loud.
like 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah,
That reboot van is so dang loud.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, hey guys, we're here.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Hyperscape, Fortnite. That was it. I feel like I didn't do as much gaming this week.
Yeah, I mean,
Started back to work. Been a busy week, so
yeah. And then
squeezed it in where I could.
other than that, we did do our role plays, which is something that we've been doing most of the week, and
Yeah,
so role plays.
So all three of us participated in Mutants and Masterminds that Nick streamed on Tuesday night, and Will was our DM.
Yeah.
And then you and Will had your other
Role play
D&D campaign, right?
on
this
Wednesday.
week? Yeah.
So yeah, I think we want to talk a little bit more about the role playing games, not the video game like RPGs, more of the
Tabletops.
tabletop, paper and pencil, or now you can
Computer
use
program.
you can use your tablet or computer or whatnot.
Roll 20.
Shout out to Roll20.
Yeah. Not a sponsor, but you know.
Hey, we're here.
Yeah. But yeah, so we just want to talk about a few different things with all these different tabletop role playing.
Yeah.
So okay, go ahead, Will.
Oh, sorry. We did we did Mutants and Masterminds this week. Which is a lot different from D&D. I know a lot of people out there have played Dungeons and Dragons, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But yeah, these guys started Mutants and Masterminds with me basically, what was it, a month and a half ago. I approached you guys and was like, hey, I wanted to run this system that's incredibly difficult. It's the hardest system that I've ever tried to run or I've ever played. Would you guys who've not really played a whole lot of role-playing games like to be in it? And thankfully they all said yes. So we've got Nick, Lindsay, Cody, aka Indecent Sarcasm, and our admin Alex, all playing Mutants and Masterminds, and they've all got superheroes. And I don't know if we've talked about our superheroes on the podcast before, have we?
I don't know if we have. My superhero, he his powers are gravity based. So I don't even know who to compare it to. Yeah. I have gravity powers. I'm OP. We'll just say that. I think in one of our first sessions that we did, I basically threw a guy through a car twice. I caused one vehicle to be very light by touching it, and then I flipped it over and dropped it on someone. Yeah. I enjoy my character.
Yeah,
all the fun gravity shenanigans.
Yeah.
He's rich. He's smart.
Yeah, rich, smart. Cool, yeah, think of it like Tony Stark, but not Tony Stark.
Very overpowered gravity powers.
But with powers and not the suit.
And still some of the same sarcasm.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I play Shane Gallagher. She doesn't have a superhero name yet. That's her name. And what are my powers? I'm very good at martial arts. And
like Batman.
Yeah. Except my parents aren't dead. Ooh, got him.
Throwing shade at other superheroes.
And I've got some powers too. And for some reason
energy
I can't remember them. Yes, energy. That was it. Thank you, Will. And if I don't know, people can go back and see your past streams for a little bit, right, Nick? Because if you want to check out Tuesdays, I had 2 pretty nice little role playing conversations that went on.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And I think I did some things that Will was not prepared for. but let me tell you, Will did an awesome job keeping up with our shenanigans.
I try.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I a little bit on Shane's powers. She shoots energy blasts, which obviously pretty cool, and she's done a lot of destructive things with that. She also has the ability to infuse things with kinetic energy, sort of like Gambit from X-Men. And she's used that to quite a bit of success, and even took out a rather dangerous sentient Hummer by shoving telephone poles into its engine compartment.
You do what you gotta do.
So that was very interesting. And then we also have Cody's character, who is Mercy, we call him, and he's basically an Indiana Jones character who found a possessed sword and now has superpowers that are super edgy, that come from the sword. And he's kind of like a darkness vampire kind of guy. But now his sword doesn't kill people; it just knocks them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his character developed a lot on our last
Yeah.
session.
Yes, yes. And then Alex's character is Fortress, and he is think Nightcrawler with a claymore. Was it a claymore or is it a Scottish broadsword? It's a big sword. Um, so he teleports. He's just really good at teleporting, and then he's got a lot of like quick reading, eidetic memory, stealthiness. Like
Very
he's
stealthy.
he's the rogue. He's the rogue
Yeah.
dream. But that's their party. And the last two sessions actually were a sort of
No.
detective noir and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
surveillance type episode. So we haven't done a whole lot of combat in the last two episodes.
Yeah.
But they've learned a lot and we got a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
So I think I
yeah.
want to talk a little bit more about character creation, because I know with some people, whenever it comes to like D&D, the character creation can be very overwhelming.
Yes.
I know I have faced this, and I most of the time would just turn to someone who has made a character and they know what they're doing and be like, "Hey, here, can you help me?"
So in our case, Will and Alex.
Yes, Will and Alex. So with character creation, I want to say that you're not limited, but you kind of are on what you can create. Obviously it just kind of depends on the
system.
The system.
system.
And there's different systems that we can, just briefly say real quick. I mean, there's obviously D&D, which is Dungeons and Dragons. That's more of like it's the fantasy where you have like, rogue fighters, druids, like stuff that you would, kind of see in like Lord of the Rings, like that kind of thing. Mutants and Masterminds is superheroes, so like Marvel and DC. We did a bonus thing of lasers and feelings, and that most of those characters are just kind of pretty generic with like just very little things.
It's very much a Star Trek spoof.
Yeah. There's Star Wars role playing, and you're make a
few different Star Wars systems.
Yeah, and you make a Star Wars character. So they have like Force and Destiny, which is for most of the like if you want to make like a Jedi or Force user. There's Edge of Empire, right? Is that one?
Right.
That one. What do you normally make in that one? Is that the
That
like bounty
like,
hunters?
Yeah, Outer Rim, bounty hunters, smugglers. You can't. I think there are rules for force sensitives. But yeah, there's all kinds of like. It's mostly the like smugglers and outlaws, all those types of classes. And then there's the facemen, like diplomats and merchants and stuff like that, where you kind of get like charisma. Like one character, when I played way back in the day, I was a Wookiee something. I don't even remember. I had a protocol droid as a necklace, and he would translate for me.
Yeah.
But one of the other characters was basically Watto from the prequels. He was what are they? Toydarians? Yeah,
Sure.
the floaty boys. And he was the face man. He had high charisma and he just talked crap to people constantly.
Yeah. And then there's was it Age of Rebellion? Is that the third one for the Star Wars?
I believe so.
I feel like
I haven't.
I haven't done
one much.
Yeah, I haven't done that one. But yeah, so I mean, if you like Star Wars and you want to try role playing, there you go. You want to be a Jedi? You make a Jedi. Then there's some other ones. I know I've seen like a Doctor Who one. I have not really seen anything like anything about it. I assume you could play as a doctor of some sort. Then there's like one shots, which normally I feel like go off of the D&D system. And then I know one of our friends, he has it's a book. I don't know. It's like it was a zombie one that he had. I don't remember what it's called, but it has a different like system in that. And that one is pretty easy to start because you're playing as yourself. And I did it for I did it for a bachelor party. It was just real easy.
So it's like a apocalyptic type, like,
so
this thing's hit, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, like as soon as it's like, you would start, we basically started where we were at. How I started was where we were sitting. I just had, someone knock on the door and then just kind of went from there and just I winged it as I went. And I mean, they didn't really have anything to begin with. They would have to go and like try to collect like, weapons and stuff. And yeah, so it was just them trying to role play out if this would happen. And then I know there's Titan's Grave. I don't know what system that runs, but I mean, it's different from D&D, but I think the characters on that is, kind of the same of, like normal, D&D.
I feel like I've seen a Lord of the Rings one.
I mean, there's probably one.
Like, I feel like you can probably find something, and like even just scouring the internet, like there are people who write shorter campaigns that you can like download. Like if you don't have to do something that's going to last 2 years.
Yeah, and honestly, if there's something that you would like, so if you couldn't find a Lord of the Rings, if you could find someone that would want to DM it, they can just create their own world, which we'll get into that later with DMing. But they would probably have to look at some systems and kind of like, base off of what people can create and how to play the game. But yeah, so there's different systems, so there'll be different kind of characters. So like I said before, the most basic one is just D&D. Dungeons and Dragons, and the character creation on that, I have been overwhelmed. I know in the current campaign that we're in, I picked a fighter. I wish I didn't pick a fighter. It's kind of boring. I mean, you probably can find something that you would like, but what I did with my fighter, it's kind of boring. I know if you ever watch Critical Role, their first campaign, there's a guy on their Talisman. He plays a character, Percy. And I think that character is a fighter, but they like changed some things where he was able to have like a gun, and he was like a range fighter, and he had these weapons.
Gunslinger fighter.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just have a giant battle axe that is named Ellie, and yeah.
A dwarf with a giant battle axe.
Yeah, a dwarf. Yeah. So, there's all those different kind of characters. I know we're going to do another campaign later, and I'm going to make a druid. But whenever it comes to character creation, Will, where would you typically start?
Well, with character creation, there's basically pretty much two schools of thought, and there's the flavor kind of character of this is the type of character that I want to play, and this is fun, and I can have a backstory, and that's usually what I play and what pretty much our whole play group plays. And then there's like the min-max sort of character creators who like multi-class into like 3 different things so that they can be a fighter wizard that uses their action surge to double cast fireball on their turn, things like that. So usually where I start is just kind of building a story or getting sort of an idea of the personality of the next character that I want to play. And then going from there. Like I knew for the character I'm creating for Alex's campaign that he's going to be running, the very short one.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to dabble in necromancy, but I didn't want to be a wizard. So that led me down the road of other classes that can dip into other classes' spells. And then I eventually landed on a bard. So I was like, okay, cool. College of Lore bard with necromancy. And then from there, you just sort of build the personality and the race, and it all sort of flows together in a way that makes sense. I did slightly min-max it, but also with the flavor of what I wanted to go, I have a split personality and sort of actually changes a lot of things of how he plays. So he's now a changeling bard, and that does slightly min-max because changelings are the only race that are able to put 3 points into charisma right off the bat. So I get to have a 19 or an 18 starting off in charisma. So it's slightly min-maxed, but that just kind of happened out of me wanting to create the character that I wanted to play. So, everyone kind of has this idea of who they would play first. And then from there, after you've played for years, like I have, you just start getting these insane ideas for characters. Which we've all heard, the insane ideas. You guys probably more so than I have with like I don't watch a lot of the YouTubers and stuff like that, but like a sentient bear whose charisma is so high that everyone thinks he's just a druid or something like that. Or a druid whose charisma is so high that everyone thinks he is a sentient bear.
Yeah.
And you can be either one of those kind of.
My favorite thing. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say my favorite thing about character creation is the backstory. Just because I like to write the backstory. Now, when it came for my character for Mutant Masterminds, when it came down to the time where Will was like, you need to put points and things for your character, that's what I struggled with.
Yeah.
But writing the backstory was one of the things that I love the most, just because, I mean, I like to write, and you can get as creative as you want with it.
Yeah, so for all you like creative people, if you enjoy playing games and you want to create a character, like your own kind of character, just go ahead and start writing your backstory. And then if you actually want to play that character, and then you find, some people to play Dungeons and Dragons, look at your DM and be like, I made this this backstory for this character. Can we make this into a thing? And I would assume a lot of the times you could actually make it into a playable character. So.
Oh yeah, pretty much anything. Like D&D, especially 5th edition, can be slightly limiting. In relativity to say Mutants and Masterminds, where you literally can do anything.
Yeah.
But it's not too limiting. Like you can have an idea for a character, and there will 9 times out of 10 be a way you can do that in D&D. It may not be exactly like you thought, but you'll get the same effect. Like I know for a while I was really wanting to do something where you could be like a ghostwriter, like any weapon or any vehicle or whatever that you touch instantly gets better. And for a while they didn't have that, but now they have Blood Hunter, which basically does that. Which I think is the Matt Mercer class. Is that his?
I think so.
Yeah. So shout out to that homeboy. Great DM. But yeah, it pretty much every system will give you a way to create what you want. But yeah, backstory, man. Creating a full-fledged backstory will certainly help a DM move things along, especially if they're creating a campaign themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's D&D especially, they come out with modules all the time where you can like, here, run this campaign, and they're always good. Like I haven't ran a campaign or played in a campaign that they've created that I was not satisfied with.
Yeah.
But they don't leave a whole lot of room for deviation unless you just sort of peel off somewhere. And if a DM is creating their own, like this is their own story, the more backstory that every character has, the easier it is for them to create, say, like filler episodes or add in wonderful story arcs that actually engage the players and make it a better experience for everyone. So definitely, creating a character that you care about and you've really put your effort and time and even heart and soul into their backstory will always make the experience better for the other players and for the DM.
Yeah.
So, with that, you talking about, the book and making the campaign, what would you prefer to do? Like make your own campaign or just follow a book?
I feel like that depends on the play group. For a beginner play group, I typically like to run one of the lower level D&D pre-made campaigns. Like what was it?
Like the
Horde of
starter.
the Dragon Queen.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like their very first 5e campaign that they came out with. And it's wonderful for introducing characters to 5e and D&D in general. But if I have more experienced players like you guys are becoming, I'll make my own stuff up and we can have like crazy things happen. Which I usually find are more fun and entertaining with some like improvisation because there's always going to be improv when you're creating your own campaign. Um, so I highly enjoy that. Like I've been deeply enjoying Mutants and Masterminds because we improv so much.
Yeah.
Like the last two like episodes have pretty much all been improv. Like I have things prepared, but in that game I really just let you guys create your own story and just sort of like show you signs, like road signs. But it's up to you what you do.
Yeah.
Like randomly showing up at a building that you weren't supposed to show up at for a long time.
I find a way.
But yeah, it's really it's a lot more engaging and exhilarating for a DM to create their own campaign if they're good at being prepared or improvising. If you're not good at either, then you're going to want to stick to a book and make sure you can read along or read ahead a little bit, before the session starts. But if I ever had like a book that was like, here's a campaign, I usually read through it at least once to kind of get the whole story and at least be able to improv in places where the characters derail things. Because no matter how well you prepare as a DM, characters will derail things. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's so fun.
And I'm also going to say, if you are going to like DM, make sure that you would be like engaged and you're going to make it fun and not just like, all right, you four walk into, the dungeon. There's a ogre there. What do? Oh, you're gonna swing your axe. Okay. You hit. All right, it takes 12 damage.
Yeah, I'm bored already.
Yeah. So make sure you DMs, you're more engaging, you're making it fun, making it where, the players are wanting to come back. And if you can't make it fun, then you probably shouldn't DM. Like you probably thought, hey, yeah, this is exciting, I want to do this. But then when it came down to it, DM is not going to be for you. So
are you talking about me?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because
I was just saying in general, because I think I've seen some where people like would complain about their DM of, just being boring and just like not engaging. They're just kind of, just going through the motions, basically.
Essentially, you're telling a story and you want to capture the attention of your audience. Yeah. And that's it's in the name, role playing. You are playing a role. And as the DM, you're playing a role too of,
you're playing everything else that they're engaging.
And then all the NPCs.
So if you're mostly like a video game player and you play, a RPG, like Assassin's Creed or something, the player is, playing the main character or whatever, but the DM in that sense is going to be everything else. What you're interacting with, who you're interacting with, what you're going to go and do. That's the DM. They are, everything the game is, minus the player playing it.
I am your king, I am your boss, but I'm also your horse.
Yeah. And then also as a player, I know I'm probably, gone off on the rails of what we've been talking about, but as a player, you also should be engaging. That way you make it fun for the DM. Because the DM wouldn't want to, put all this effort in it, and then, the DM be like, all right, what do you do? And you're like, I just want to, throw a fireball at it.
See, now you are talking to me because I know I know what you're talking about.
So, just like I said, if you're more of a video game person, think of it like, what would you do in the video game in that situation? Then take that and put it into, D&D that you're playing. It's like, oh, in this game, this is what I would have done. I would have tried to, I want to try to be stealthy. I would have, crawled around on the ground into this bush and wait for him to come by and then try to, sneak attack and attack him. Or I would have gotten to a better position where I could see all these people and then I'm going to shoot an arrow or something. So what you would do in an RPG video game, try to relate that to D&D and
make it cinematic.
Yeah. It might be easier for you to imagine things, and then it might be also easier for you to be able to engage. So
throw some backflips in there.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you kill that thing, you know what? Do a, celebrate, do a backflip. Roll for a backflip.
Acrobatics check, boom.
Yeah. Oh, you got a 1? Oh, you didn't make it and you hurt your neck. All right, you're going to be sore for the next fight.
Or just go with it, because on Tuesday, I made the decision to make this phone call and I thought Will was just going to have me roll for it. No, nope. I had to act that sucker out.
And you were not prepared for that.
No, I think I brought it together in the end, but...
I like to turn things on you guys, make you have to do things you're not prepared for. I think Keith was nice, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was great.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was really fun. That was some good improving, Lindsay. Way to go. Yeah, I don't know, how many role plays you've done before, Lindsay. I know we did Star Wars, and I know you guys have done a couple things up there in North Carolina. But you guys have all been tackling Mutants and Masterminds very well, because it's a hard system.
Yeah.
I DM'd 2 sessions years ago of a starter D&D campaign.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to call out people, but I'm going to say we had some people who just were not into it. And plus, I just sort of jumped in head first on that one.
Yeah.
I tried my best, but I don't know if I could ever successfully DM a campaign.
Yeah.
But no,
hey,
I
if
guess
you like
it's
writing,
probably...
you've got one of the biggest skills required. I hate writing, so I struggle sometimes. If you like writing and you're creative, DMing can sometimes come second nature.
Yeah.
So we should talk after this about you DMing sometime.
We'll come back to that.
But yeah, so I wanted to ask, since you are DMing a campaign, you've DM'd before, and you also play. What do you, which do you find more enjoyable, DMing versus playing, or do you just want to talk about the two? You may find them both enjoyable, and here's the differences.
I mean, I do find them both enjoyable, depending on certain circumstances, but overall, and I think pretty much everyone is in the same boat, but I think overall pretty much everyone prefers to play. Now, if there are people out there who are just straight up, I prefer being the DM over a player, you are a godsend, I love you, thank you for being a person, because you're amazing. I enjoy DMing. I think it's incredibly fun. It is a way to like express yourself creatively and also to sort of bond with your friends. It's a whole thing. Like DMing's wonderful. However, as a DM, you will sometimes get asked to DM for groups of people who you don't want to DM for, or who you've DM'd for before and they just kind of aren't the best group to play with. I've had this happen before where it was just I have DM'd 3 campaigns for this group. They've all fallen apart and people didn't really pay attention. They'd be playing other games on their computers while we were in Roll20 and just waiting for combat. Literally just waiting for combat so that they could do things. So when you're a DM of a group like that, it can be very hard, very punishing, and not fun at all. But you guys and the groups that I actually play with regularly, I love because we all have fun and we're all engaged. We're not like super distracted. Like obviously some of us have families or cats or what have you, but that's not like, we pay attention.
I appreciate you putting cats in there with families.
Cats
Thank you
are
for
an
that.
important distraction.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would say dogs, but Oreo's never a distraction.
No.
And I don't know if anyone else has a dog. But yeah, so I would say playing. But I do obviously enjoy DMing, or I wouldn't be doing it as much as I do.
Yeah. I probably would, just suggest play before you would decide to DM.
Yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you need to get the feel of it and see how things would be run, and then you can be like, okay, I think I could DM.
Yeah. I would like to throw a nice life lesson real quick in there that Will was briefly touching on. It's okay to say no, guys.
Yeah, it's okay to say no.
That's Lindsay's life lesson for the episode.
And also with earlier whenever I was saying, be engaged and stuff, with the whole role-playing thing, I know Lindsay said before, is important. It's fun. Don't think someone's going to judge you because you're all there, role-playing. So get into your character, DM, get into the characters. Yes. You can make voices. If you don't think you have, you can, do voices, then that's okay. But still, just play it out of how you would.
I am no Matt Mercer.
Yeah. So
voice actor.
Yeah. So I'll say a couple D&D campaigns that you can listen to or watch, and see of how incredible it can be. Because we'll talk about the stereotype in a second, but Critical Role, Matt Mercer, DM, amazing DM. He sets the bar extremely high. He is also a voice actor, so this is where
McCree.
McCree in Overwatch. So this is probably probably where him being voice actor does help. And also in Critical Role, everyone else, the players, they are all voice actors. So they are very good at playing Dungeons and Dragons because they're good at improv and they're good at doing their voices. So if you want to see of how good it can be, you can go and listen to Critical Role.
Yeah, so they have a podcast. You can find them on Twitch. Yeah. Are they still doing it? Twitch?
Oh yeah. They're in a second campaign.
And then I'm sure on YouTube also.
And then there is, I know one of our friends, he likes, it's on YouTube, Dimension 20. He sent me a video the other day and I started to watch it some. Another, good example of good DM and then players. Another one that Lindsay and I will listen to is Dungeons and Daddies. That one is very, it's hilarious. They're not on the level of Critical Role of everyone being voice actors and stuff, but they are entertainers. They're very good at it.
They're actors and writers.
Yeah.
And, it's hilarious.
So if you want
Check out that
if you want to
podcast.
listen to some before like maybe diving into, playing, just go to listen to them. But do keep in mind, if you do listen to them, that is probably not what you're going to experience when you play, because these are like professionals that are just very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
What you're going to definitely find friends that you know, and it's going to be enjoyable, but it's not going to be on that level.
Yeah. Find the right group. And the beauty now is you don't have to all be able to meet in person.
Yeah, you can do it online.
Yeah.
Because the ones that we do it online. Because not because of COVID reasons, but because we live in different areas.
Yeah.
Yep. In fact, I think we've mentioned before our DM for our D&D campaign lives in Japan.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Somehow we're able to play this wonderful gathering game across the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to break the stereotype of D&D. Because, growing up, if you would hear D&D, everyone would just prejudge it, thinking that it's... What was it that you said yesterday, Lindsay?
I said it's not just a group of 30-year-old men who still live with their mothers, who meet in a basement and wear wizard hats. Now, that might still happen, and shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
But that's not all that it is.
Yeah.
And I think that was one big thing for me. Like, that was what
that was
I
the
thought,
image that you got. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I never thought I'd reach this level of nerdiness, but here we are, and it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah. It's not like that. I mean, like we said, we're on our computers playing, in different areas. But if you get together, most of the time it would probably be, you're just sitting around a table, you're enjoying each other's company, you got food on the table and stuff, and you're just playing a game on using your imagination. So I was telling Lindsay this yesterday. So, growing up as a kid, you would imagine things like in your head, and like you would play with toys, and you're like building out like these scenarios and stuff. D&D is just, as an adult, but you're playing like what you did as a kid.
It's taking that with other people and creating something.
Yeah. You have, your imagination again, and you're just being able to play with other people, and you're, take your character, do all the things that you never thought you could do. And you're playing that in a game format instead of just, playing around as a kid. Like, you're playing dinosaurs or, whatnot, or like monsters versus robots. Like, it's not something to make fun of. Like, like I say, like Critical Role, like they make money off of it. Or, I don't think that was, their intention. It's just for them to be, entertainers to others. So, but yeah, I don't think of the stereotype of like what Lindsay said when you hear D&D. Like, it can be so much more, and you probably will enjoy it if you like games and you want to be creative. So, that whole saying, don't knock it before you try it. Yeah.
Don't judge a book by its
Yeah. Is there any more last minute things you want to say on this whole topic, Will?
Not a whole lot. Obviously, if you've never played a tabletop RPG game, I would 100% recommend, maybe trying to find, a group, or if you have friends who play and you've never gotten to play, maybe, ask them to, do like a one shot or something with you to get some flavor for it, because it's really fun. But it can be difficult, especially during these COVID times, to enter that sort of realm, because it does require sometimes, meeting in person, or, if you don't know people who play D&D and you're interested, it's hard to meet new people who play. Um, but stick in there and maybe try to find people online or at local game shops or libraries. There'll usually be like D&D nights or role play nights where they have a DM or several DMs who come in and will run campaigns or one shots, and you can usually find people to play with there. And DMs, I love you guys. You're a blessing.
Yes. Takes a lot of work.
Yeah. Especially if you want to create your own.
Yes.
But,
yes.
All right. I know that we could, talk more about role-playing games, but I'm sure we'll, revisit that topic for another episode. But before we wrap up this one, I think we want to, talk about some gaming news that we heard over the past couple weeks. I know there's one thing that Lindsay wanted to, bring up and talk about. So,
yeah. So, and some of you might have heard this story. It's, well, I would say it's been in the news. I don't watch the news, so I don't know. I find my news on Facebook. But I think it was July, the beginning of July, a Twitch streamer named Byron Bernstein, which I could have butchered his last name, also known as Wreckful. He had committed suicide in early July. But he was known for playing World of Warcraft.
wow.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Yes. And he got big playing that, and there were several things that I read that he had achieved. And when news spread that he had passed away, memorials were held inside of World of Warcraft to pay respects by the other players. I read that he was even creating his own game called Everland. I don't know what it was about. But the cool thing that I wanted to mention was that Blizzard created an NPC rogue trainer named Wreckful, so named after him. And I read that that was his main character that he played. And it stands permanently in the Cathedral of Light, so players can come and interact with him inside the game now. And apparently when you talk to him, there's a voice line where you can say, "It's nice to see you again." So I just thought that was a little heartwarming story coming off of something tragic, and I thought it was very great and nice of Blizzard to do that for him.
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, that was very very nice for Blizzard to do something like that. Paying their respects for one of their big players that they had. I know game companies, some of them tend to try to put, something like that in their games. I feel like there was something with, I think the Spider-Man game on PlayStation. I think someone was wanting to ask someone to marry them, and I think they put it like on a marquee in Spider-Man somewhere, like little Easter eggs or whatever. But yeah, that was very nice of Blizzard to do that. Really cool, especially the fact that you can go up and you can interact and say it's nice to see you again. So yeah. But on a different note, I was going to bring up something. It's not, very heartwarming. News, if you didn't see, this, I think it was this past week, but Halo Infinite has been pushed back.
Rip.
So, what does that mean for Xbox or, Microsoft? Well, I don't think they really have a launch title with their system. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's just going to end up hurting, Microsoft of trying to sell their new console, this this year during the holidays. But yeah, because like they don't have the launch title, everyone was like really looking forward to the Halo, being able to play it. But I feel like all these people bullied them into pushing back the start date so they can work on the game more, because a lot of people did not like how the game looked. Which I personally didn't like it. I mean, I like that it was very much Halo, but the graphics on it, like, I mean, yeah, like I would prefer gameplay over graphics, but for it to be the was supposed to be the launch title and the game that they were going to, show off for their new system, looked like a game that could have been, played on the 360. So, and I think a lot of people were saying that, and they bullied the company into pushing back the release date for it so they can work on it. But yeah, so what does this mean for Microsoft? At this point, like if you were coming up to the holiday season and you didn't know which system to get, like if you're, one of those people that wanted to get all, and you saw that the big game Halo was getting pushed back, this might, be the tipping point for a lot of people where they're like, you know what, I think I want to get the PlayStation right now.
Right.
Where they would be like, I want to get the PlayStation now, then I can save up and I'll get the new Xbox whenever Halo comes out, and I want to say it was February that it got pushed back to. So if you're, there's people that get, both systems, this might be, the deciding factor that you're going to get PlayStation first, and then you'll get Xbox when you want the game that you want to play that Halo game. So
Yeah, because what did we see was coming out with PlayStation 5?
I think what Spider-Man Miles Morales, I think that's supposed to be coming out with it. So I mean, I know it's not like a sequel to the game, it's a standalone game, kind of like the Uncharted Lost Legacy, what that was.
Right.
I mean, it's still like, like a full game, just not as long as the main games. So, but yeah. And, oh yeah, there was some other news that we found out the other day. You can't play Fortnite on iOS right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That thing just happened, didn't it?
Yeah. So,
why is that?
So Epic apparently violated some rules and such that Apple has for all of the developers and whatnot who have apps on their app store. And there's talk of whether or not Epic violated it on purpose. I mean, I'm sure they knew what was allowed and what was not. And I think it happened with when they changed some sort of like how you make in-app purchases. Yeah. I think that's what it was. And now there's talk of Epic suing Apple. But
oh wow.
I'm pretty sure Epic knew what they were doing because they posted a video. They had this video ready and had posted it online and in-game, and sort of taking a shot at Apple. So.
Yeah, it's a remake of an old Apple Macintosh commercial back in like 1980 something.
Ooh.
It's like the exact thing, but with Fortnite characters in it. And yeah, and the bad guy on the screen is
a talking apple.
Is a talking apple. So,
oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's kind of funny. And then if you haven't seen the original commercial, just look it up and you'll be able to find it.
I mean, and that's why I think they knew exactly what they were doing, because they had that cinematic short ready to go.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man. Wow. Okay. That's exciting.
Yeah. Some shots have been fired.
Yeah.
Well, goodness. Yeah. Trivia time?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Trivia time.
Well, I hope
I-
you guys have been thinking about that trivia question because it is time to give our answers. Lindsay?
So yes, that trivia question said, when was Dungeons and Dragons first developed? See who can get a year closest.
I have no idea.
I have a vague idea.
I'll let
so
you. I'll let you go first because I feel like I've gone first the past couple times because you've been confident.
Okay, okay. Um, so, oh gosh. I know there was like the original D&D, which was basically just a stapled together paper pamphlet. And then there was like first edition and advanced D&D. I don't know what year the first one came out though. So I'm gonna say 1973.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So the only thing I have to go off, I can go off of is if you had, I've watched Stranger Things, and in the, I'm pretty sure it was the very first episode.
Yeah.
The kids were, downstairs, and they were playing, Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm pretty sure Stranger Things takes place in the 80s, so I knew it had to be before then. So I don't know when exactly Stranger Things takes place. I don't know if it's early or late 80s. I want to say it was like more of the early 80s. So I'm pretty sure it was made in the 70s. Will, you said what, 73?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't want to
Yes,
say
sir.
this. I don't want to say the same one that you said. I will say I don't want to be that person and do like the Price is Right and just say 74. So I'll give, a little room, and I'll say 76.
Okay, well, Nick, if you had pulled a Price is Right move, you would have been right because it is 74.
I couldn't have been that guy.
So I think I might have to give this one to Will.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it was 1974.
And that was the original like little paper pamphlet, right?
Yes, I assume so.
Sweet.
I mean, well deserved. I mean, I only had Stranger Things to go off of, and I've figured it had to be in the 70s. I just had no idea when.
Yeah.
So. Oh, all right.
Yeah, because I think the actual like fully printed book of advanced D&D was like 77 or something like that.
Yeah, because this was because the question was when it was developed, and so
Okay.
that's what. Yeah, so it probably wasn't anything.
Yeah, I'm
fully
kind of
complete.
wondering when they first thought of it, because it would take time to develop.
Yeah.
But I wonder like when it was that someone sat down and was like, "Hey guys, I have this new game that I thought of, and let's do this."
Let's make it as
I don't know,
complicated
I
as
mean-
possible.
Yeah.
There's Gygax and Arneson. I mean, they probably worked together on it for a while. I don't know a whole lot about their early days, but I mean, they might have thought about it in like high school together. Like, I don't know if they
Yeah.
went to high school together, but that's something that probably takes time to put together.
Yeah.
All right.
But, yeah.
So we're gonna, wrap up this episode, and we want you listeners to be able to contact us on all the different media platforms.
We
Will,
do.
would you like to share with? Yeah, well, I would assume so. Would you like to share with the listeners where they can find us?
Yes. So our YouTube channel is Out of the Box Gaming. You can find our Discord linked on our channel and everywhere else that you found. And we also have our link tree. We also have an Instagram at OOTB_gaming and Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at GamingOOTB. And also check out our wonderful Patreon full of awesome perks that you can unlock. And speaking of Patreon, thank you to our wonderful Collector's Edition Patreon, Cody Watkins, also known as Indecent Sarcasm. You can sometimes catch him on the stream with us playing games. He is also part of our roleplay campaigns, so one heck of a guy.
Before
Where
I
can
say,
they find you, Nick?
Oh, before I say that, I'll just go ahead and say, if any of you listeners ever have like any questions for us, you can probably go to the Discord and put it there, or you can send it to our email, which we don't have our email up on here. Lindsay, you remember what our email is?
Well, you're the one that created it, Nick.
Yeah, I don't remember
We have
what
an
exactly.
email?
Yeah, we do have
Yes.
an email.
Okay, it's ootbgaming2020@gmail.com.
Yeah. So if you have any questions for us, you can send it to the email, or we might make a questions in the Discord, and we will try to maybe eventually get it where we would put it in the episodes and like answer some questions or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Moving on up.
I feel like that might be it on what I was going to say. So yeah, if you want to catch us live doing the podcast, or if you want to find me, which is, you know, where we do the podcast, you can go to Facebook Gaming, Trovo, DLive, and Twitch at Ace King King. And if you just want to find me on the some other platforms, YouTube and Instagram at Ace King King, or Twitter is Ace King King 77. So.
And thank you so very, very much for listening. And please make sure to leave a review on our podcast, leave a follow, subscribe, a like on whatever platform you found us on. And please be sure to join us next week.
Well, actually, next week we're
No.
we're gonna take a week off next week because Lindsay and I are going to South Carolina to visit her family and for our niece's first birthday. So we won't be here next week, but join us back in 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, so this has been Out of the Box Gaming with Nick Picard, Will Kinsey, and Lindsay. Thanks for playing along.